did it. Somehow you did it. I thought you were done for a while. Enoshima-san's expression had completely 180'd. Huh? Her eyes filled with disgust. Were you even paying attention? Do you think it's case closed? That's an Armageddon-sized misunderstanding. I saw something get up in the corner of my eye. It was Madurai. How? That kick shouldn't have sent him back so far. He was using his own strength to be thrown back as well, so he could minimize his injuries. It was just because I was going easy on him to begin with. Screech! I could hear the grinding sound of scraping metal. Madurai was grinding his teeth to get enough to cause sparks. Oh, are you angry? Are you angry at someone? I directed my attention in front of me at Madurai. An unsteady voice came from behind me in Enoshima-san's direction. It's fine. There's no way you can lose against that guy. Probably. At least try to sound more convinced, I said, looking over everything I wrote down. Don't look away. Enoshima-san's harsh voice lectured me. Don't look away from your prey. That's one of the basics. Huh? Prey? In contrary, I'd rather think it's my side that's the prey. While grinding his teeth, Madurai reached out to us and moved closer. He was giving off an aura of bloodthirst like a hungry viper. I felt like an intimidated rabbit, trembling. In this kind of situation, Enoshima-san is really the only one I can rely on. What? Madurai's eyes suddenly widened. When did what? I did not like the sound of those words. I looked behind me fearfully. What did she say it was again? I looked at my notebook again and remembered. That's right. I know now. That was Shikuchi, wasn't it? When I looked behind me, there wasn't anyone there. Without realizing it, Junko Enoshima's figure, shape and shadow was gone. Looks like you've been left behind. There was a voice from behind me. Looking back in front of me, I saw Madurai. He looked down at me with tenacity. But there's no one to blame for it. I'll just have to deal with her later. The order has just changed. That's all. His words were like a death sentence. I finally noticed my own basic mistake. I was idiotically relying on Junko Enoshima, so I'm not really complaining about it. In any case, I have to do something. I looked doubtfully to where I dropped my notebook. I heard Madurai's voice. Oi, why do you keep looking at that notebook? That's... I couldn't lift my face. My mind went blank and I forcibly flicked through the notebook. With how things were now, I couldn't find a good way to escape. I tried my best to stall for time. But please wait a moment. Your purpose is to investigate the worst, largest incident in Hope Speak Academy's history, isn't it? I don't think it'll do any good questioning me on it, since I know nothing about the incident. Why do you know it's mine? Why do you know its name? Madurai's cold voice made me flinch and tremble. Well, what do you mean? Earlier, I only referred to it as that incident. Why do you know about the worst, largest incident in Hope Speak Academy's history? I raised my voice timidly. Madurai glared at me with a growing intensity. I looked back at my notebook immediately to escape from his gaze. That's... well, I only just heard about it myself. I didn't know it was an actual thing. In the first place, as far as the name, the world, largest incident in Hope Speak Academy's history, only a few people in this school know. The fact that you talked about it with no hesitation means you really are suspicious. Looks like I really hit the jackpot. I didn't have to look to know. His reptile-like cruel eyes were smiling. A shiver went down my spine. My cold limbs went stiff and I was completely paralyzed. This is the end. This was probably the first time since my birth that I was fully conscious of my death. My head went blank, completely blank, and... Matsuda-kun. I really do love him. Even if I do say that, though, memories like a revolving lantern never came into my head. My memories for him are just feelings I have after all. So I whispered his name in my mind and tried to remember. Matsuda-kun, 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 Matsuda-kun. Huh? Let's try that again. Matsuda-kun, 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 Matsuda-kun. Huh? It's weird. I don't feel any better. I can't remember. My whole body felt fuzzy. The fact that I couldn't remember Matsuda-kun anymore. That brought on an unprecedented attack of fear and loneliness. Is this a feeling of loss from forgetting Matsuda-kun? It was an awful feeling I had never felt before. Like I had been sent to the depths of hell. It was an awful feeling, as if my body was being eaten away by 1,000 evil monsters. What's wrong? Your face has gone white. I looked up at Madurai's face and finally understood. The man in front of me had made me so scared. Right now I can't control my emotions at all. Because of that, I can't remember my feelings for Matsuda-kun at all. You look like you're about to be attacked. He laughed at his own awful joke. Matsuda-kun. Matsuda-kun. Even though I was completely overcome by fear, I continued to repeat his name in my mind, but I tried not to show my fear. I desperately whispered his name over and over again, like a prayer. I repeated his name with my emotions. I want to see Matsuda-kun's face. I want to hear Matsuda-kun's voice. I want to smell Matsuda-kun's scent. I want to touch Matsuda-kun. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. Then suddenly, my heart leapt and thumped heavily and my blood pumped through my whole body at breakneck speed. I felt warm and my limbs frozen from fear were once again able to move. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. I kept on muttering that small phrase, and the fear I had melted away. I wanted to meet Matsuda-kun. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. I want to meet Matsuda-kun. Having noticed my strangeness, Madurai took a moment to distance himself from me. Perhaps he's just cautious by nature. I calmly analyzed and thought about the situation. Remaining collected, I reread the notebook quickly in my head. I suddenly looked at the first page. I could see a certain ability I had written down. I wonder why I had never noticed it before. This is surely the power of love Matsuda-kun and I hold. I'll meet Matsuda-kun. I'll meet Matsuda-kun. I'll meet Matsuda-kun. It wasn't just a desire anymore. It was my entire purpose now. I felt warmer just thinking about it. You, move now. I raised my head from my notebook and stared at Madurai. I'm gonna meet Matsuda-kun. Who's Matsuda-kun with this sudden change in character? It's love, of course, I triumphantly yelled out. It's the power of the love I have for Matsuda-kun. I cried out without any shame. The power of love and all that is great. It drives people to do insane things at stupid times, but even after all that, I don't really understand you at all. In any case, you're being a nuisance. As I said that, I glared daggers at Madurai. Are you just desperate or something? This is a little awkward. Desperate people are always unpredictable at the best of times. No matter whether they're strong or weak, they're always a hassle to deal with. It's fine, just move. Yeah, I don't get you at all. He leaned forward and dropped his center of gravity. He must be preparing to attack. But that's not my problem. He can't extinguish my red-hot fire. I will meet Matsuda-kun. I will meet Matsuda-kun. I will meet Matsuda-kun. I had decided. So with my notebook still open, I stepped forward completely defenseless. Madurai responded by lowering his center of gravity further and drew his fist back to his waist. He was ready. Though, despite being at the ready, it didn't seem like he was going to make the first move. He was just being very wary. He really does have a cautious personality. But, no, seeing as I stopped in mid-stride and declared, Madurai is Shiki, checkmate! What do you mean? That's a pretty lame line. Madurai is Shiki, it's checkmate! I couldn't think of anything else to say, so I just repeated my line. I was like a wild animal about to pounce on my prey, and so I lowered my center of gravity. I remained in that posture and pushed all the power I had into my legs until I couldn't anymore. All at once I released it. I kicked on the ground with all my strength, and I had began to run with explosive force in the opposite direction Madurai had prepared for. Hey! I left behind the surprised Madurai as he raised his puzzled voice and ran after me. As I heard that voice, I opened my notebook again and checked the first page for my ability written there. That's right. That's what my ability of it is. I can use it to get me out of this situation. I couldn't remember it before, so I didn't realize I had one. After a while, I could hear footsteps behind me, chasing me. Maybe I should try out predicting something. If I could predict what that guy following me is thinking right now, I bet he would be thinking something like, I don't get that girl at all. That's great. Alright, so we're on chapter 7. It's getting good. It is getting good, ladies and gentlemen. So let's jump into chapter 7. I don't get that girl at all. Madurai Shiki muttered to himself as he was running. It wasn't that he was not being careful. It was the opposite of that. It didn't even cross his mind that she might run away. But thinking about it now, it's only natural that she would take that course of action. They say a cornered rat will bite the cat, but in truth, it's doubtful anyone's ever seen a rat bite a cat. Even if it were seriously injured or dying, it would not just stay motionless while cornered. It would run for its life, since the rat has his eyes on a goal in that respect. It's the very same for that girl running in front of him. She's running because she has her eyes on her goal. So then, if I apprehend her, it'll be over. He smiled cruelly. He had the face of a hunter chasing after his prey. After I catch her, I'll beat all the information she knows about that incident out of her. The worst, largest incident in Hope's Peak Academy's history. Madurai hated that incident and all those involved in the incident with a burning passion. Now, Mirai had a deep drive to avenge what happened in the incident. Finally, the chance to do so was finally in his reach. He had received information from a suspicious informant just a few hours earlier. Junko Enoshima, a girl who knows what happened, will appear at the Central Plaza. The chance of it being a trap was high, but he was willing to risk it. Even if it was a trap, he would then at least manage to see who it was who set the trap. That was his line of thinking anyway. I will avenge them without a doubt, so I can protect them. I will avenge them. There was a spark in Madarai's eyes. As soon as his eyes spotted the target running in front of him, he sped up dramatically. His long hair flew behind him as the distance between him and his target closed. In next to no time, he was at a point where if he reached out his hand, he would be able to catch them. This is the end. He stepped harshly on his right foot and threw his long right arm out as far as it would reach. His fingertips grazed lightly against their hair for only a moment. It was then, as his hand brushed against their hair, that they suddenly changed direction. Surprised, he lost his balance. They had perfectly timed their chance to change direction. Tch! Marai clicked his red tongue, straightened his posture and began to run after his target once again. However, he noticed immediately. The girl ahead of him seemed to be running strangely. What is that? As his target was running, they were writing something in their notebook. Huh? She's writing while running. It's impossible. That can't be. Marai's mind was nothing short of confused. He was unable to understand their behavior at all. The idea of the target has no other choice than flee was in itself unexpected. That girl isn't just a rat trying to escape. She's thought of different ways to escape? It was possible they were simply bluffing. Ever since they were first started running, they might have just been using caution as a way to widen the gap. No, it doesn't matter what the reason is. He didn't have time to think about it. To avenge the worst, largest incident in Hope Speak Academy's history, with intense motivation, he had no time to lose. Marai fiercely increased his speed and was once again close enough to catch his target. This time, it really is the end. He reached out his right hand again and grabbed them from their blind spot. No. The only thing he grabbed was air. Once again, his target waited until the last second and suddenly turned and ran in another direction. Unable to stop with the extra momentum, Madarai saw a large tree in front of him in the darkness. Quickly, he thrust his hands in front of him and the large bark of the tree dug into them. What the hell? Madarai picked a direction, kicked the ground, and sped off. He was quickly close enough to the target yet again to touch them. He once again reached out, however. The target dodged the hand and fled. I can't catch her! Madarai began aware of that for the first time, though he did not know the reason why. Firstly, they were looking at their notebook for the entire time while running. How were they able to see the hand behind them? In any case, he had reached every time with perfect timing. They should have been completely oblivious to any movement behind them. No, that's not it. They should not have the skills capable of seeing behind them. It's almost like she knows what will happen before it happens. You've gotta be kidding me. Shaking off his thoughts, Madarai started running at full speed once more. He quickly reached his target once again. They left their blind spot wide open, and so he reached out again. He was almost touching them until they yet again avoided the hand and ran away. But it was almost like they anticipated it. Madarai mimicked them and reversed his movement as they had. With both hands open, he jumped towards the target, utilizing his two hands as he tackled. This time I have you! That is to say, the target disappeared completely. What? It was as though they were reading Madarai's movements and then dodging them. With perfect timing, they bent down at their waist and crouched on the ground like a turtle. They had let Madarai jump over them. Awkwardly, Madarai fell down onto the hard ground in front of him. Lying on the lawn, he found himself unable to move for a short time. He did not feel any pain, however. He was somewhat injured. What the hell? Madarai finally forced himself up from the lawn. He looked around for his target, his long hair a mess. He managed to catch sight of their back, growing smaller in the distance. As he watched them in the distance, Madarai muttered to himself in an incredulous tone. For God's sake, please don't tell me she's clairvoyant or something. Chapter 8. Clairvoyance. Oh, what the heck? So basically she has the ability to see what's going to happen before it happens. That is pretty cool. That's a cool talent or ability, whatever they want to call it. Wow. He was probably thinking something like that. But of course I know that sort of thing doesn't exist. No, it was real, but only in dreams. No matter how much you wanted it to be real life, things like being able to awaken psychic powers in a critical situation is something that would come straight out of a shonen manga. So it's not anything as unbelievable as clairvoyance. it was just a simple prediction. I'm able to analyze his thoughts, actions, and movements. After all, I was able to confirm my own ability with the help of my notebook, Super Analyzer. Using that ability, I was able to statistically analyze Madarai's behavioral patterns and way of thinking. From there, I predicted the actions he took afterwards. But even after saying that, analysis requires vast amounts of data. If I had no data, I would not be able to predict his actions. But it's all thanks to Otonashi Ryoko's memory notebook. Due to Madarai's actions and behavior, I was able to use the data I had written down in the notebook and predict his actions. In particular, the fight between Enoshima-san and Madurai had become a goldmine of valuable information. She had used various attacks against Madurai, and in response, Madurai had reacted in a variety of ways. Considering all that into detail now, I had seen all his actions and attack patterns. As for the reason of why Enoshima-san would go to such lengths, to be truthful, I had no idea. Anyhow, it was thanks to that data I am now able to grasp Madurai's behavior patterns. Having said that, only a few minutes of watching him fight did not mean I could predict everything he would do. However, for now my only goal was to predict how he would act in this situation. I had enough data to do that at least. I was currently easily able to predict when he would attempt to reach me, from what angle and how he would do it. But even after all my predictions, he was still not willing to give up. I'm sure, after seeing my ability in full throttle just now, he was stunned to say the least. This is just another prediction, but soon he'll realize that the cause of such a phenomenon was simply my notebook, but he'll probably keep chasing me all the time. If so, he'll begin running more seriously. If he does, what are my options? Along with the answer, it should come into view soon. While I continued my predictions, I looked at the sketch in my notebook of the central plaza to guide me as I ran. After going through a thick area of trees, I entered a wide clearing. As I suspected, in the distance I could see a small building. That was the place where I was headed. As I found my destination, fear and courage swirled in my mind. But I have to do it. Forget about the fear and anxiety and just do it. Do it for the sake of meeting Matsuda-kun. I'll do it. I'll do it without a doubt. By the way, that wasn't a prediction. That was just my happy-go-lucky side shining through. I love her. I love her so much. This is getting really good. So we're on chapter 9 now, guys.
Hope will never die.